Alright, hello, I'm Austin Sproul, and I'm going to be interviewing Whitey Grantz, an alumni of Wash High. Alright, Whitey, what years did you go to Wash High?
When did I go?
Yes.
I went from 1943 in 8th grade, started in 8th grade. They had an 8th grade here, and I graduated in 1948.
So, did you attend the Park School or the Ward Schools? And which Ward School if you did?
What did you say?
He said the Park School or the Ward School. He was just
Right here. I didn't go to any other
Oh,
school.
you
I was born in Washington, moved to Claysville for about 10 years, came back in 1943, and I'm Wash High. 48, 30, 43, 48. That's it.
What types of clubs were available to join? What type of clubs were available to join?
Oh, well, I was available for every club, football, track, wrestling, camera club, and I participated in choral group, chorus, and I was in the band. I was in a band, started on trombone, went to the baritone and then a trumpet, and then I settled on the baritone, and I was in a band. There was 6 of us on the baritone horn, which I loved. But my first love is the trumpet, and the trumpet that I play without a trumpet. But I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to get this going.
Okay, I just want to show you this. This is your yearbook, right?
That's me.
That's you right there. You were in the student council too. You didn't say that one.
I was a sharp-looking kid.
You were.
He said you were on student council. Student
Yeah,
council.
oh yeah, I was on student council. I was president of my homeroom.
Alright, next question. Let's see. How did events going on in the world at the time you were at Wash High spread into your education and school life?
How did the events going on in the world at the time?
Oh, well, it was from 1943, the Second World War, and I had 4 brothers plus me in the Second World War was Brother John, Bob, Bill, Army, Navy, and Merchant Marine, and then later on, after I graduated, 2nd of January 1949, I went to join the Navy, and then my brother Bob, that was in the Merchant Marines, they said his time wasn't good, so they drafted him in the Army, and they weren't going to get me in the Army, so I joined the Navy, and then my younger brother, Ray. So out of, my dad was in the First World War, and he was gassed, and we lived on his pension of about $600 a month. That's about all.
9 kids.
We were poor, and we lived on this 1-acre farm in Claysville, and that's what helped us survive. And I also say that I grew up on green onions, green apples, and groundhog. My dad shot 187 one year, but there was 11 of us, 9 kids and my mom and dad. So he'd come home with 2 and 3 groundhogs, and that's all that. I'm getting off the track. I just want to talk to you.
So, what was the building like at the time?
The what?
The building.
Oh, the building was pretty much the same as it is now, with the exception of what they've done on the inside, and they added on down on the bottom part on Jefferson Avenue. They added that on, but it didn't affect education or nothing. Nothing didn't affect us, any of us guys.
Was that the 8th grade part? They kind of kept you separate,
Well,
you said.
it probably became part of the 8th grade until they got rid of the 8th grade, and then now it's just 9, 10, 11, 12.
Mm-hmm. All right. So how were Wash High and Trinity tensions?
Wash High and Trinity tension.
How's
How was the tension then?
tension? The tension was football, track, anything that had to do with sports. Wish I was always ahead of them, and we always enjoyed like Fridays whenever we did play Trinity, marching with the band up through Chestnut Street and honking people's horns and sticking toothpicks in their horns so they keep running. And we just a bunch of ornery kids, but we enjoyed that. And we always had a parade, and the tensions were just probably not much more than they are now.
Just the rivalry.
Yeah, the big rivals back then, right?
Big rivals.
Oh yeah, big rivalry all the time.
What are your most memorable experiences?
Your most memorable experiences.
Oh, most. I got a lot of them.
You can tell them all.
One was being in a band and being a member of Prixies. I started out with a pilot book, and we went through that book and we did what was in the book. Not, I don't know what they got, whether they have anything like that or not now, but it was, it told us about songs, cheers, and everything like that. And so that's one thing. Then being in a band, and then making friends. I made a lot of friends, and I enjoyed football. Football is number one. I have a plaque to tell you that I'm number one fan for this past year, and Coach Mike and I are like that.
You guys are
He's
tight.
on the middle of the field with the team. He'll come over to the sideline where I'm watching. This is during practice. He'll come over, shake my hand, and hug me. When he hugs me, he hides me. So then brought all the team over, and I shook hands with all the team. This is past several years. And I was one of the first ones to shake his hand when he got hired. And I looked up at him and I said, well, at least you're big enough. And he liked that, so we became friends.
You said at home that you sang in the chorus. You were in the
Oh,
plays.
yeah. I sang in the choral group, and I'm top tenor, and there's nobody around that taught me. And I was in a Frantically contest in California. I won tenor contest down there. That was must have been in 11th grade. And I enjoyed that, plus being in a band and music. Music is my life. I come from a family of 9 kids, and we learned to sing and everything when we were knee-high to a grasshopper. So music is with me. Mm-hmm. I've sang probably in over 100 quartets. I sang barbershop for over 50 years. And we visited different chapters around in Warren, Ohio, Cincinnati, Dayton, and then I went down to Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and all these guys wanted to keep me. I'm a tenor. They said, "We'll get you a job." But we wanted to keep you, but they didn't keep me. Because I'm a Pennsylvanian, and I love Pennsylvania, and I love it around here. And I'm a Prexy, number one. Number one.
You can't leave this area, right?
Okay. What else? What else you got on that list?
What was the most controversial thing going on at the time?
What?
The most controversial thing going on at the time.
Well, most controversial thing was World War II,
Mm-hmm.
and that there was no drugs and not much shooting off, and the cops were really friendly, and they weren't in cars like they are today. They were on the beat, and we had some nice cops. You could talk to them. There was only one that was he wasn't a smarty, but he was close to it. And he was on a motorcycle, and everybody knew when he was around. But those are the most controversial things that I can tell you, especially the Second World War.
Mm-hmm. Sure. How did technology correlate with your education?
How did technology correlate with your education?
What do you mean by technology?
Well,
Like, were there any like advances? Like, I don't know, like.
they didn't really
Yeah.
didn't have TV
Well,
then.
we didn't
Well,
have
there-
Yeah.
different things in school, or we didn't have it in our home. We didn't have television, we didn't have radio. When we lived in Claysville, we had a crystal set, and that was it. We had to listen to that, and we'd listen to that at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, and but outside of that was not much else you could say for technology, because it was people were civilized. They weren't out shooting each other and drugging each other and all that sort of stuff. That's all I can tell you that.
Alright, the pop culture question. I don't know if you just.
the pop culture, like, what kind of activities did you hang out with your
Well,
friends? Where did you, what
Did I
did you do?
participate in?
Yeah, what kind of like when you hung out with your friends, what did you do? Did you go uptown? Did you go to Shorty's uptown when you were?
Oh, we used to have a club called the Haven, and the Haven was a real nice place. It was right next to Shorty's restaurant, and all the civic leaders. It was Slap Poland, he was a barber. There was Mr. Minnemeyer, and it was just different people from all kinds of businesses that came in and watched everybody, that we didn't get in trouble or anything like that. They had a bar about as long as that with pop. That was it, pop, and they didn't have much other chips and stuff like that. But these men were real good, real nice guys. And if you helped them later clean up or something, they'd give you I don't know, a free pass or something. But we always had a good time with it. I learned to dance, and everybody else was. I think it was about 10 or 12 majorettes, and about probably 8 or 10 cheerleaders taught me how to dance. And it paid off, because when I was in California or New York, somewhere with the Navy, one girl says, "Little boy, where did you learn to dance?" I said, "Little girl, I'm probably older than you." And I turned out I was a little bit older. So I said, "Don't call me little boy." Only one to call me little boy is my daughter Nicole. Our password
Granddaughter.
is when she was about 3. I said to her one day, "I love you, little girl." And she said, "I love you, little boy." So now every time we meet, that's what it is. I'll say, "I love you, little girl." And she says, "I love you, little boy." That makes my heart feel good. I just love that girl.
Who knows that?
Yeah. So, what was your family life like? You kind
What
of
was it?
went with that.
Your family life.
With
Some of us, we were poor, very poor. And like I said, when we lived in Claysville, lived on 1 acre, and we grew onions. Well, I told you, I grew up on green onions, green apples, and groundhog. We had a patch of onions, green onions, as long as that one of these hallways, and as wide, and we used to pick them every day and cut the tops off of them, and cut the bottom, wrap them with a couple pieces of white twine, and then we used to sell them to the, you don't remember it, WPA workers. They used to be out there in Claysville. We used to sell these onions 10 cents a bunch or 3 for a quarter. And we did this every day. And we had baskets, 2 or 3 baskets carrying. And we never came home with any onions. We walked all the way down Wayne Street in Claysville. Nobody escaped us. We stopped at every house and they'd buy. Maybe one, that's good enough. And then we walked all the way through Claysville, and I could tell you who most of them are, I have in my mind. Cooney Barr, he was a dentist. Mr. Petruno, he was a lawyer. And there was Gus Zilke, the bakery. And there was a post office. There was a newsstand, Williams newsstand. There was a barber, Ray, Jonas Chess, and another. I'm 86. I'm no young kid. And so I remember all this stuff. I wrote a book. I have not one. I started out one like this. Now I have books, 5 books like this of my life and growing up in Claysville. And I still love that place. And I'm out of breath. Anyway, our life was centered around that little farm, 1 acre, because we had planted other stuff. We had potatoes and tomatoes and strawberries. We had a strawberry patch as long as that. And my mother canned that. We had 1 cow, and we had a lot of pigs. And my dad and my brother milked that cow in the morning and at night. So we had that, plus we had good neighbor. One neighbor brought us 2 big, we had our regular milk, buttermilk, cottage cheese, and regular milk. And my mom used, for cottage cheese, or smear case we'd call it. So smear case was the stuff that was left over from the milk was put into a clean pillowcase and hung up on a clothesline, and it drip, drip, drip every day, all the day. And then at nighttime we'd have a smear case for supper. We had access to about 4 or 5 farms around us, and we had access to apples, peaches, pears, walnuts, hickory nuts, butternuts, and like I said, we had good neighbors, and we had a good neighbor down below. And when we moved out to Claysville, we had an old Model TT truck. It was a Great American Pacific truck. And my dad built seats in it. And after the tires and everything went, we still had the brakes on it. My brothers we'd push it down and then get started and go down a hill. Then our neighbor below would haul us back up. He said that was a big thrill for him. And one day I was pushing it, and it ran over my toe, this toe here, and it's bad now. But like I said, we had that one one cow. We had lots of chickens, so we had eggs and we had milk, and we had they'd butcher, the guys, farmers around to come in and butcher. Then when it was time to come threshing, we'd go help them. And I think we helped eat more than we did thresh. So we had a good time, and everybody was friendly compared to nowadays with all these people shooting each other and drugs and stuff. And I don't dig that stuff. So, okay, next question.
All right. Here's the last question right now, I guess. What classes did you take?
What classes did you take in high school?
I took college preparatory, and I went to CPI in Pittsburgh for television, radio, electronics. But at the time I was working at Universal Cyclops, and I tried to get steady day terms so I could go to night school, and they didn't do it. So I quit that school, came back, and I worked at RCA for a while, and then I was a transformer, and then I finally, in 1956, I started at Kroger on Bow Street, and I've put in over 30 years at Kroger, and I've put in over 30 years in the Navy, and I'm retired. And we went up to the cemetery yesterday, and we saluted all the guys up there that have gone before us. And it gets you a little bit, but I'm a pretty strong guy. I got a positive mental attitude, and that's attitude, belief, and confidence, and love, faith, hope, and just do it and you're okay. That's what I live by.
All right, well, here's the one thing. I didn't know that he was in the Navy. My mom never told me that.
Oh, really?
So there's questions for that too.
Okay.
I have a bunch of them.
Okay.
I mean, I can just.
No?
He wants to ask about the Navy. He has some questions about the Navy.
Oh, you want me
Service.
to talk about the Navy?
And
Yeah.
he'll ask you questions.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, which wars did you serve in?
Which wars did you serve in?
I was in the Korean War. I was one of the first ships into Korea, and I've been in 6 major battles, and that was in Seoul, Incheon, Wonsan, Busan, Chogori, and Jeju-do. And I loved the Navy, but the ocean didn't love me. And I got seasick so much, and we came from Japan, coming home after being in Korea. We hit a typhoon, and it knocked us back 3 days. That was one of the bad experiences. Then while we were going over, we lost power. Must have been about 50 ships with us or more, and we were lead ship, and all around us these other ships over here and there, and we lost power, and we sitting out there. Everybody was no lights, no communications, anything like that. So finally, I was on watch up on the top deck, and this was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and after we lost power, I looked out, and here was a ship bearing down on us, coming this way, and I hollered on the phone down to the old man, and he broke silence, and we got flashing lights or something and telling these people that we're dead in the water. So otherwise we could have been rammed and down the bottom of the sea. So that was a bad thing. And then, like I said, I spent 4 years in the regular and the rest of the time in the reserves. So it's been over 30 years. And one bad time down in Fort Lauderdale, I took a bunch of guys down to inventory one of the ships down there, and I was on the USS Intrepid, and we had operations all day, all night long, flying out, and a couple of planes went out and they went down. We got the pilots, but we lost the planes, the Roosevelt's planes. So then later, there was some sailor, he was up on the flight deck, and he went down below. When he came back up, he walked into a prop, and he was carrying something that cut his arms, cut his face right off his body. And then we got back into, I was down there for a month, got back in Norfolk, and we couldn't get off of the ship because the elevator wouldn't go up. So that's why I don't like elevators. And we found, I had a flight out of there early, but I didn't get home till later that night. But outside of that, those were the experiences that I had that weren't as good as just being a regular sailor. Okay, that's enough of that.
All right, so why did you join the Navy?
Why did I join the Navy? Because I didn't want to be drafted in the Army. My brother Bob and I, when he was in the Merchant Marines, and when he came out, he and I were going to join the submarines together. And we went up to Washington recruiting office, and they said, "You're too late now for here." He said, "Why don't you go to Pittsburgh?" Well, we didn't know that, so he lived in Glassport. And then when he did come back, that's what they said. But then later, he didn't come back again. He said he'd be back so we could join, and he didn't come back. So in September, October, somewhere around there, they drafted him in the Army. I said, "But you're not going to get me." So that's why I joined the Navy, because tradition, my brother, like I say, Bob, Merchant Marines, that's Navy, and Bill in the Merchant Navy, and John was Army, my dad was Army, and my younger brother was Navy, so there's three Navy guys, four. John, or Bob, Bill, me, and Ray. And I love the Navy, that's it. But like I say, the sea didn't love me.
All right, so
Enough of that? Okay.
if you want to keep on going, you're good. If you want to keep on talking about it, but I have other questions. So, how did you feel about entering the military during wartime? Were you afraid, proud, or perhaps excited?
What?
How did you feel about entering the military during wartime? Afraid, excited, proud?
No, I wasn't excited. I didn't think anything about it during school. I just, after I graduated, 48, I wasn't working too much. Then I was working at a pharmacy in Washington on Main Street, across from Hertz. And I knew that it was getting close to the time they were going to draft me, so I said, well, boom, I'm going to go. So I went and I joined on the 2nd of January, 1949, and I went to Great Lakes, Illinois, and from Great Lakes, Illinois, I stayed there for a while. And if I'd have gone earlier, if I'd have gone soon enough, I could have stayed at the Great Lakes as a singer. I went to the dances out there at the club, and there was a Marine singing with the band. The band was about 25, 30 people, 30 guys playing. So the guy said, I asked him if I could sing. He says, yeah. He says, we'd rather have a sailor than a Marine. So, like I say, I was too late to tell him, or I could have gotten my time I spent there, which at times I wish I had stayed there. But I had fun. I had a lot of fun. I made a lot of friends. And after we come back from Korea, I had a couple of buddies. I still remember them, Gimp and Zeman and Miller. Those were the three that stick with me. And Gimp and Miller were both about 6'3", and we used to run around together. I bought a 1938 Chevy for $225, and when I sold it a couple of years later, so I got $250 out of it. Yeah, so anyway, these guys, we used to run around together, and I bowled. I used to bowl good. I bowled at 298, and these guys couldn't beat me when we was bowling, because I used to average 230, 240. And they'd say, Moose, they called me Little Moose. They'd say, Moose, we're going to bowl till we beat you. I said, you're going to bowl your butt off, you're going to beat me, because I'm not going to give in to you. And they never did. And so then Miller and I, this is Red Human, he and I went up to El Toro Marine Base, and he had a brother-in-law, and his sister was there. He was in the Marines, and we visited them and on the weekend, and we enjoyed that. Then we came back, and coming back, he was driving, and then I started driving, and he says, Moose, he says, I smell rubber or something. He said, did you put the brake off? I said, oh, no. So we took a brake off and we followed in. And when whether it was raining or whatever, we followed a tractor trailer in. And when you follow a tractor trailer, you got to know what you're doing. So we followed him all the way in from El Toro to San Diego to our ship. And outside of that, that's enough of that.
Alright, so, okay, well, we kind of already did that. Then, let's see. So what was your rank in the military? Your rank?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Commander.
Commander.
Yeah. Supply commander.
Supply commander.
Yeah.
Alright, so what was your job or assignment?
Storekeeping. Supply is storekeeping. When I was in the first 4 years, that's what it was. And I worked my way up. Then after I got out in the reserve, I went to Philadelphia for probably the first 10 years, and I went to school there. And that's how I climbed my ladder.
Alright. So tell me a couple of your most memorable experiences.
And what?
In the service?
Yeah.
Couple of your most memorable experiences.
With what?
The service, I guess.
Well, in the service, I told you, valuable. It wasn't valuable as the fact that, like, the ship when we were dead in the water, that was an experience that I'll never forget, because I thought we were going to get rammed. And when we coming back, we hit that typhoon. Those were the worst. The rest of it was when we were in Korea, we took leave, and we went to a motel called Mampei Hotel. It was way up. We had to take a train, and the train went up a mountain. I mean, tell you, it was big. So, and then I made friends. I was friends with all the guys. They had to come to me for food, to cook and all. and this one guy, black guy, while we were up at Mampay, he shot a couple of pheasants. So the chef at the Mampay fixed the pheasants, and he invited all of the supply department there. And so he had more than one pheasant, and it was just dressed like, had the head on it, everything. And that was one of the things. It surprised me, but that's the way they did it. And they had it cooked and everything, and had the head up there like that, like as if it was still on there. But the food was good. Outside that, I don't know of anything else. That was about it. I just loved some of those guys, and I miss them. And now, if I had a chance now, I think I'd go back in and find those guys.
All right. Were you awarded any medals or citations?
Any what?
Medals or
I
citations.
got a lot of medals. Yeah. I was going to bring my 2 ships, regular ships that I was on, and I didn't. But I've got no Purple Hearts, but I just got a lot of good conduct, and we had, like I say, I was in 7 major battles, or 6 major battles, and I got stars, gold stars on one ribbon. I got the Korean ribbon, United Nations ribbon. I got the Formosa Straits. We went through that. I've been through the Suez and the Panama Canal, and I had got a medal for the Mediterranean. When I first went in, we did a world cruise. We went clear around the world, and then we come back. And that's why I've been down Panama and Suez. And outside of that, that's about it.
All right, so one final question. How did your service and experiences affect your life?
What?
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Oh, it made me grow up, because I was just a young boot. I was only 19 when I went in, or something like that, and it helped me grow up because I had what do you call it? I had other guys under me that I had to
Responsibility.
help them. I had to, make sure that they tried to get them a rate, too. And I guess I was a little bit smarter than some of the other ones, because they always came to me to do this or that or something. And I've been called Jacket of Dust, which is, I had access to all the stores, and the cooks had to come to me to get meat or whatever out of a little locker. And then I could eat anything I wanted. And the guy, I'd ask the cook what's for breakfast or something. He says, "You know what's for breakfast." He said, "You get what you want." So we had steak, and steak and eggs most of the time. And then I got transferred off of a big ship, USS Algol. It's an AKA 54. It was, right now it's down the bottom of the ocean off of the New Jersey coast as a reef. And we had service there for that. And Korean War, and I was, after a while we had reunions. I found out they had reunions of Algol, and we got in touch with the guys. He's a little thin, small guy, Tony, and he was in charge of all the reunions, getting them together and all. And we Mike. And we had about, I think it was 29 or so, and they finally stopped it because of a lot of the guys were Second World War guys, and they were older, older than me. And Tony, he's, I'm 86, he's 91 or 92, and he was doing all this work more or less by himself with his wife. And I miss it. I miss those guys. I made friends with them. All these other guys from that were on the ship, but they were on different times. But Tony and these other guys were in during the Second World War, and I didn't feel out of place. I felt right at home, like, because they took me in as, "You're okay, Moose." So they just took me right in as a friend. So I had a good time. And I'm going to shut up and let you go.
Well, that's all the questions we have.
Anything else?
No more, you're good.
Okay.